get yourself a fairly decent screwdriver there. And we've got to take these screws out. And I may even use these same screws if the head of the screw is still fine, or I can use the brand new ones. And I always have to use the ones that come in the box, but see how the head on there is it's not very deep at all. And I wish they would have made these Phillips heads, but they didn't. So if you find that your screwdriver is not a really nice one, you might start stripping off the head of the screw, and then you'll have to do it a different way. Okay, so this is going to come out of here like this. Okay, and you see how the wires are in here? I call this spaghetti, and see how the top one goes down and then up, the bottom one goes up and then down. See, and then as I pull it out, see how it kind of S's up in there. I call that spaghettiing. I don't know why. Okay, so I've got to look at the new automatic timer. Make sure on them you'll see at the top. See, that says load, and the bottom says line, right there. See? Now you got to look at yours, because funny enough, when I got ready to install like some GFI outlets, you have to do that in the right order. And the old ones were set up with the line at the top, and the new ones were set up with a line at the bottom. So I had to switch the wires around, because when I hooked it up, or when the last person hooked it up, they hooked it up backwards. So you always got to check that kind of stuff. So before I get ready to remove that, I want to look at my other one. Make sure it looks just like this, because you know what it usually has on here is some tabs. Remember? On most outlets, you've got some little ears up in here. You remember what most outlets or switches have on here? There's little ears here. There's one that comes up here like Mickey Mouse ears. One there, one down there, one over here. Well, those had to be taken out because this box is a cut-in box. It's got the ears on the outside of the sheetrock, and it's got a little cubby area there, inset. So you cut these ears off. That way when you push that in, this goes flush with that, see? Like that. If I had the ears left, this is going to stick out. When I put the cover on, the cover's not going to be tight up against the sheetrock. Okay? So that's my next step. I have to get the new timer out and take those ears off. And I'll show you that next. Okay, let's see how I'm going to take that off. See these ears? And there's a little indentation right across there. That's the part that we're going to take out. And sometimes I used to score that with my wire cutters. The type of wire cutters I have are like this. Okay, you can take that and you can score that along there like that. But this time I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hold my pliers up here like so, right up next to that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to clamp it down fairly close here, and I'm going to bend this back and forth. There, just like that. That's out. Now see that right there? I'm going to save that. Some electricians, they save those. You can use that like for a little washer for different things, okay? I'm going to save those, stick that in my nail bag. Now I'm going to turn this around, hold it up next to that cut. Take this, bend it, just like that. Okay? If I do all four of them that way, And if you're not careful, if you're not holding this just right, you could start bending the rest of your body of your flange. Last thing you want is to do that, because these aren't that strong. Then you have to mess with rebending that. Okay. There. Just like that. Then I've got to look at this and see where the load is. Sure enough, the load is up on the top and the line is at the bottom. If I was facing that, looking at that, I got to put some screws in there first. And there's only one side where you can put the screws, and you see way in there where the backing piece is with the thread. So I'm going to have to find my new screws. And see, they'll give you a little bag here. And I'm going to use the new, I'm going to use everything new. You know, this one's going to fit on there nice and tight, where the old one was a little bit sloppy. But I'm going to save the old one in case I ever need it for a backup. And you see, in here, this is the little screw that comes with it. See, it's got a little flange goodie on there like that. And it comes with two of them. And I look down in here and drop it in there. My Phillips screwdriver out. Get it started. And I just look through the side hole to see how far to go. I don't want to go all the way in. And I see it just peeking through there, and I know there's still enough room to get the screw in there. Or the wire. Okay. Okay, that's all set. That's all set to go in the hole. Okay. Our next step is we're going to undo that one, and we're going to put this one in. See, the screw, the wires go in through the side, and you tighten it up or loosen the screw right there. Okay. Okay, let's do it. Okay, new one, old one. Power's off. I'm going to undo the screw up here, and I'm just going to loosen. I don't have to take it out all the way. Just loosen it up a little bit on both of those, like that. And the wires should, see, it slides right off. And I know this is going to be the top, that's going to be the bottom. And look at this one. I put it up the same way. That's the top. This is the bottom. And you can put both in at the same time, or you can do one at a time. I got both of them shoved in there. Okay, I'm going to tighten up the bottom one first. Snug. I'm going to do the top one. Snug. Now I'm going to crank down a little bit, and you can hold your hand back in there. I gave it just a little bit of a turn. Okay, I want it snug. There. And it's going to fit right back in where it was before. Okay, now I'm going to get the new screws. Got the new screws here. I'm just going to get that started. And if you need to twist it one way or another, you kind of want to do that before you get it in too far. Hold it in there. Looks fine. Okay. Tighten her back up. And the previous one had a mark up there where the old one kind of fit exactly at a spot. And I don't have to have it exactly perfect, because the cover, I can swivel the cover. You know, even if this cut-in box was slightly off, it doesn't matter. But This can also be moved right or left because there's a little bit of a slop there. And if you want, you can have that, you can have it slightly over, let's say. Line it up where you want it. If your existing cover before was covering up a blemish on the wall, for instance. But if it's not, this cover, you can move it. Okay, on some electrical outlets, you can only move it so far. And so that's why you want your boxes to get in there. Here the box has a wing that went flump like that up behind there and it's screwed in. That's why you've got the flanges on the outside. So I'm just gonna look at that and see if those are snug. They are. So I'm not really gonna mess with those. I've got videos of that on my channel too, how to install a cut-in, electrical cut-in box. That's what that's called. Okay, this is going to go on there like that. And this nut is very thin, but it's got, you have to have enough thread sticking out of there, and you do. Okay, put that on there, like that. And then I'm going to tighten that with my little crescent. My crescent. And you want to line that up. My pet peeve is seeing anything that's crooked. Okay, so I can eyeball that. And first off, I want to make this fairly snug. Okay, to where I could slightly move it. And if your eyeball is bad, you can actually measure it off of something. Okay, 13 3/4, 13 and a long 3/4. So I know the top has to go over slightly, like that. That looks pretty good. Okay. See, it almost looks like it's supposed to go over at the top even more, but when I look at this, that looks really straight, so I'm going to leave it right like that. I can hold that, and I'm just going to crank this down. Just make it fairly snug. Don't tighten it so much that you're going to break the threads. Those threads on there are only plastic. You see, here's the old one. See those threads right there? It's plastic. You could crack that, and then this is loose. Then you're going to have to replace your old timer because of the cracked threads. Okay, so this has a flat spot on the rod that sticks out. You look on the back of that, and that has a flat spot on it, see? And I know that that's supposed to be facing up anyways. That's facing up. I'm going to look at that about where it's supposed to go. I can even wet my finger and put on there a little feel about where it needs to go, because sometimes these push on kind of hard. I know it's right there, and I'm going to push on here hard. There. Okay. That's good. All right. I've done it, but now we've got to make sure it works. So back to the electrical panel we go to turn the power back on.